Hi, welcome to this Wednesday, day 7 of our Lent for Everyone series. I found this word today, a good word from Jesus and N.T. Wright's discussion of it. Especially, I think that when we look at this passage that discusses who is truly part of the kingdom of heaven and maybe who is not, our temptation is to look around and say, well, clearly those people are not. I think Wright has a great corrective at the end of that to say that this passage is not about that. This passage is about us discerning and looking into ourselves to see if we are the type of trees who are bearing good fruit. In other words, I think in our world a lot of times, and especially in our world that uses and has used language like born again Christian, where it becomes the most important thing is that you have prayed a prayer of salvation, and yet then afterwards, maybe how you live your life doesn't matter as much. That's misconstruing how the gospel works, and in fact how Jesus works in our lives. Jesus doesn't come into our lives just for us to pray a prayer and then magically get a ticket to heaven card. Jesus works in our lives by working in our lives and by changing us, by renewing us. Just this past week, there was a story that came out about a man named John Vanier, who was the leader of a community called L'Arche. He was Canadian, and the group has done wonderful ministry all across the world in communities of special needs people among some of the most vulnerable. And a study came out independently that the L'Arche community had run that said that this man who died in the last couple of years and founded that group had been a predator to 6 different women over the course of time. None of those people with special needs, but in very much the same vein of these Me Too things that have come out. And clearly this man had a great deal of darkness in him. It's a reminder and a sobering one that the fruit of someone's life will eventually appear. And clearly there was a lot of darkness and evil going on in his life, at the same time as there was wonderful things going on in his ministry. He was one of these people who was held up as almost a saint. And it's a reminder at this time of Lent that, man, I want to be the type of person who would not harm someone, but who instead would produce some good fruit in my life and ministry. I want to be the type of person whose roots sink way down deep and are grounded in the life of God. I pray that you would become that along with me as we journey together this season of Lent.